Okay, everybody, so we're on day 3 of the transom repair. So let me recap what we've done so far up to this stage. Up to this stage, we have removed the old wood. We found a little corrosion on the aluminum boats. We cleaned off the corrosion with some grinding. Then we painted that whole surface. We measured for the new wooden transom. We cut that out to fit. Then we routed the edges. That's where I left off, I think, on video 2, was I was routering an edge up here. Then we have Bondo epoxy resin all of the wood. So this is completely watertight. And where we are today is I have now dry fitted the transom into the boat. Hopefully you guys can see this. And I have now put the channel in that holds the transom up. And I've used some bolts right now just to secure it to the boat. So secure it to the back of the aluminum here. And now we are going to actually rivet the channel, the aluminum channel. We're going to rivet it into the boat, onto the boat, so it's a permanent seal. So rivets come in many shapes and sizes and materials. The one thing you really need to know, I'm not going to go into a riveting tutorial. That's not what I'm doing here. But key takeaway is when you are riveting an aluminum john boat, you need to use aluminum solid rivets. Okay, you got to make sure it's solid. You'll know it if it's solid because it won't have a little lip here. A normal pop rivet that's open will have a little lip that gets crushed down when you pull it. So you need the solid ones, which are watertight. This piece won't have a hole in it on the top, so water can't get in it. You also need to use aluminum washers on aluminum. So why do you need to use aluminum on aluminum? So if you don't use aluminum, if you use steel or something else and you put it onto the aluminum, the water hitting with the two metals is going to cause extra corrosion. It's going to corrode faster. So that's why you want to use aluminum on aluminum when you're doing this. The other key is we're going to use 3M. This is Fast Cure 5200 Marine, what do they call it? Adhesive and sealant. So this is going to create an extra watertight seal. It is permanent. Watertight bonding, sealing, gel coats, fiberglass, and wood, yada yada yada. This is what you want to use. So there's 5200, which is permanent. There's 5204, I believe, which is semi-permanent. Both will probably work. We're going to use permanent because I honestly don't plan to take this transom off ever again. If I do, it's going to be in 20-something years, and I don't honestly know if Marine Adhesive 5200 is a 20-year permanent bond. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to show you how we're going to do this riveting. You need the Bondo. You need the 3M adhesive, aluminum rivets, aluminum washers, rivet gun. Boop, boop. So let me move the camera and I'll show you how we're going to do this riveting, and we'll get this done. Okay guys, so just quick brief overview of how the rivets work. One, rivets are measured 3 ways, right? The diameter of the rivet, how wide this rivet is. So 1/4 inch rivet for a 1/4 inch hole. That's what you need to know. It also goes by length, and then it also goes by grip. So you never want the rivet to be longer than twice the diameter of what you're gripping. So you wouldn't want to do a 2-inch rivet, 2-inch long rivet, if you're only riveting a 1/4 inch of material together. So rule of thumb there. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this side of the rivet on the outside of the boat, and on the inside we can put the washer. This is going to get crushed down. It's going to cinch against the washer. It's going to have 3M sealant all over it, watertight, and secure as could be. And again, these are just bolts that I have in place that's holding everything in so we can get the rivets in. Alright, let us do this. Okay, so here we go. Got the sealant. I'm wearing gloves too because I don't want this permanent sealant all over my hand. We got a bunch of rivets to do, so here we go. Forgot to mention, guys, I will also put links in the description to where I get the rivets, where I got the 3M. It'll all be down there, so you don't have to search for it. I'll put it on there. So we're just going to put a little around the lip here, and we'll actually put some in the hole. That there. This is going to go here, through the boat, through the brace, and we put the washer on the inside. The little 3M. That's in there like that. Which, twice. There we go, that breaks off. Butt end falls in there. We are sealed up. And we are just gonna wipe all that off. Okay guys, now we're gonna do the rest of this boat. Channel is now riveted and permanently sealed to the boat. Next step is to get the wood transom secured to the boat. Alright guys, hopefully you can see this, but the metal channel here, you can see that this channel is now riveted to the hull. So that is secure. So what we're going to do now is we're going to bolt the transom through the hull as well. We're going to use actual bolts. So two things going on here. One is we are using stainless steel bolts with lock nuts and washers. So I know I said aluminum on aluminum, right? But aluminum is not as strong as stainless steel. So for the strength portion of keeping this transom here, because we're going to mount a big heavy engine, we're going to need the strength of steel. So we're going to put these in and we're just going to goop them all up with the sealant, and that's going to create a seal against the steel to the aluminum, and it's going to be fine. It'll work. Don't worry about it. We're going to put this 3M sealant on the nut, on the bolt, and on the nut, and in the hole. All three places, guys. Squirt it in there. Alright, where else are you going to use this? Go ahead and use it liberally. Goop it up. Goop it up, guys. There's a scientific term. Goop it up. Little cheat here. Socket attachment. This is gonna speed it up. And then we'll do it by hand. Yeah. Next one. Goop it up. There we go. Transom bolted to the hull, channel bolted to the hull. So the next thing we gotta do is get the side channels on these guys. We're gonna do those with the rivets, same way. Hopefully you guys can see this. Little miss on my part, this corner piece had to attach to that. So I had to take that one bolt out, put the channel back in to attach it, and then we just did the same thing. We re-gooped it up with the 3M. We're going to finish attaching these. You've noticed these holes don't exactly line up. So we're just going to drill new holes in that bracket and we'll be just fine. So you may have noticed that I gooped up my tools a little bit with the goop, with the 3M. So yeah, you don't want to keep that on there. So while it's still wet, we just get a little denatured alcohol. While the product's still wet, you can wipe it off. It hasn't cured yet, so it comes off. So our brackets didn't quite fit. So the brackets didn't quite line up with the holes anymore because of the thickness of the wood, and that's fine, but what we don't want to do is drill more holes in the boat. So we're going to drill from the outside in and drill new holes into the bracket. You just got to make sure to hold the bracket tight, and remember when drilling metal, use low speeds and lots of pressure in. I'm going to put this one bolt in here right now just to secure it. Make sure you hold from the inside, otherwise you're just going to bend the aluminum. Low speed, lots of pressure. Safety first, always. As you can see here, we got our new holes. They're a little bit off now because of the thickness of the wood, but no big deal. It's not going to make a single bit of difference. Put some big washers there. And we'll be good. Let's go ahead and get that ready. I'm going to go ahead and do the other side now. We put one bolt in to secure that bracket in place. We don't have to try to hold like that. I did it again. Again, you can see the new holes, the old holes. That's no big deal at all. Alright, so now we're going to goop it up and get these rivets in. We're going to rivet this together. So that bracket is riveted to the hole. But because this side is going through the wood, we're going to use the bolts. Because I could not find 3-inch long aluminum rivets. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to rivet the corner bracket onto the boat. Right here you see this bolt, so I got a bolt and a washer there holding the bracket in place on the inside just to help it keep secure. But we're going to remove that and put a rivet in. And we're going to put the rivet in the same way we did the bottom. Put the rivet in with the rivet gun, lots of goop, and a washer on the inside. Okay, so that gets this bracket in. On this side, We're going to, again, put bolts because we're going through the wooden transom, and then we're going to repeat on the other side. Alright, so that does that, and that will get the transom all securely in place. It's not going anywhere. It's waterproof. It's gonna be good to go. The only other thing we need to do is the same process. You have to put the handles back on. So one of our original handles broke. We ordered 2 new aluminum ones on Amazon. We'll get these bolted in. So our boat handles go here in these holes, and I unfortunately had one of my handles break. So I ordered a new one, and it's not the same size. Let's see if I can show you that. It does not line up. So, 2 options. We have is to drill a bigger hole, or a second hole in the handle, drill another hole in the boat. My preference, drill a hole in the handle. The boat doesn't need any more holes. So let's do that. So here's how we're going to do this. We can take the new handle and put a bolt in, and put one of the sides in there. Fits pretty good. So we're just going to try to line this up as best we can. Take a nail from the inside where the hole's already drilled out. We're just going to scrape the middle of the handle. And you can see, it gives us a mark. Hopefully y'all can see that. That's where we're going to drill. So, I'm just going to take this, we're going to clamp it down in our vise. Now, this is aluminum, so you can't clamp, or you don't want to over clamp it. Just get it tight enough. This is called a center punch. You tap that down, and it's going to give you a pin mark. It'll allow the drill bit to stay without moving. I mean, it's called a center punch, I think. So to drill through aluminum, you can pretty much use any drill bit. You don't need the fancy stuff, the expensive ones. And we're just going to drill through there. Done. There we go, 2 holes. I'm gonna put that back on. Okay. Handles installed. Alright, so we got the handles on, we got the transom in. The only thing we have left here are these 4 holes, which are where the motor mounts to. Now, I don't have a motor yet, because I bought this boat on Craigslist, cheap. I don't even know if this thing floats yet. So, what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to put 4 bolts in there to fill that space. I'm going to use neoprene crush washers right now, which are like rubber. And it's going to seal a gasket. It's going to create a gasket. It's going to seal that up. It's going to make that watertight. And then when I get the motor, I can take these off and seal it up correctly. I'll probably end up putting a support plate on here and on the inside to help support the motor. But until then, this is what we're gonna do, and then once all this cures, once all the 3M cures, we'll be able to water test this. So let's get these put on, and then that ought to wrap it up. Just like that. That washer, when we tighten this down, it's going to crush that little neoprene washer. Be watertight temporarily. Okay guys, so here it is. This is the outside. Finished. Handles put on. I will still put 2 bolts up there, but I can test this out because those are above the water line. Alright. There you go. One indestructible transom. So, a couple things we learned was, one, we didn't really have to spend as much time ripping out the old transom as we did. We could have just popped off those rivets and been done with that 3 times as fast. Lesson learned. The other thing is, all the white 3M on there, I mean, you could wipe it off and make it look better. Honestly, I don't care. It's a boat. It's a John boat. It's a beat up John boat. I don't care if I see a little bit of that. It is paintable, so if I ever did decide to really finish this boat up, I mean, I would get the whole thing probably hydro dipped, in which case none of that would matter anyways. So that wraps up that. So I'm going to go ahead and do another little segment here where I'm going to add up all the parts and kind of estimate the amount of time I put into this project. We're going to see if this boat was actually worth the money and worth the time. Next step after this is to see if this thing floats or has any other leaks. So stay tuned for that video.